Hey guys, that was weird. Anyway, it's early. I'm tired. I'm gonna go back to sleep. But, anyway, I just thought I'd do this real fast. Do a few movie updates anyway. First off, Benedict Cumberbatch's Doctor Strange. It's been finalized, and he's been cast, even though that news is like over a week old. Like 2 weeks old anyway. Also, Marvel has found their Jessica Jones, for their Netflix series, aka Jessica Jones. She will be played by Kristen Ritter. I don't really know how to feel about that because I'm not seeing her in a lot of things to judge her. I know I know her from that show, Don't Trust the Bee in Apartment 23, I think it was called. It didn't last very long, and whatever. I mean, I don't know her acting range. I don't know what she's like in terms of that, so I'm not going to judge her at all over it. But the main thing is recently Sony was hacked, which not a surprise. I mean, you would think after the summer-long PlayStation Network blackout a few years ago, they would fix their goddamn security software. I mean, what was it that Ivan Vanko said?
Software shit.
Oh yeah, that's right. Anyway, what happened was someone North Korea claims it was them anyway, but someone had hacked Sony's network and said that and had released a few tidbits even on their movies. So, like, for instance, the new James Bond movie Spectre is over budget. A great deal of other things, but the biggest news at the moment, and this is something I've really got to address, is that Spider-Man, that Sony and Marvel Studios are currently negotiating terms of having Spider-Man in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. I actually have some things here. It's basically been confirmed even by Sony that negotiations were in process. They fell through, but it seems like they're opening doors again. And I definitely want to address a lot of that. This is going to be a lot of shit here. There was just a lot, but yeah, there were just a lot of leaked emails. I'm not going to go into all of it, just the main story, which is them connecting the MCU with the Amazing Spider-Man universes, which I'm going to first talk about that first. This was this is on comicbookmovie.com. Andrew Garfield was supposed to be at a corporate dinner, but he never showed up, and people believe him to be fired at this moment. Saying that he's not good, and a lot of people have said is probably because he blamed the studio for the critical failure that was Amazing Spider-Man 2, which after careful thinking, I don't blame him for saying that. I've actually had some drastic rethinking on that movie, to the point where I am actually kind of regretting the score. Should have lowered it a little bit more. Not to the level of Byron, not to Byron's score, but definitely a lot lower than it obviously. Then I would definitely a lot lower than what I gave it. But yeah, it seems that he has been fired, or has been let go anyway. Amy Pascal said in an email to Matt Tolmach, and I quote here, "I love introducing Peter Parker and Cap, but I know it comes with so many things since we won't give them what they want. What will we give them? We can say it's a cameo, but I'll bet it's more and will involve some of his world, and it will be Peter and Spidey, right?" Even more interesting, though, is a memo Pascal wrote to herself with issues that would need to take up with Marvel Studios if Sony were to agree to the rebooting of the character in Captain America the Winter Soldier. Weird. If we have Spider-Man and Cap 3, what is our fee and our back end? Need script approval, casting approval of Spider-Man and Aunt May, in consultation of May's house in Queens, and in any other Spider-Man locations we may need in future movies. Also approval of our Spider-Man new Spider-Man costume. How long is he in the movie? How closely does it follow the Civil War storyline? Does the world find out who Spider-Man is? Are there any other characters from the Spider-Man universe they are using? Can we use one of the Marvel characters in our future Spider-Man movies not produced by Marvel? Can we use Cap to set up Secret Wars? Well, Cap's kind of involved with SS in a way. Can Drew work with the Russos to get this done? Are we renting him out? Alright, that, and sorry if I'm mumbling, like I said, I'm tired. Alright, basically what they're saying is they definitely want Spider-Man for Captain America 3, since it is the Civil War storyline. Spider-Man does play a big part. How they're going to do that is going to be interesting now, which I will get into later. Basically, they're saying here that they need casting approval for Spider-Man and Aunt May, which more than all but confirms that they are going to replace Andrew Garfield and Sally Field, respectively, in those roles. Also, consultation of May's house, basically looking for a new house in Queens. And all that shouldn't be hard, since a lot of Marvel movies aren't always taking place in New York, but sometimes they are. Although more than likely they're going to film it in New York. They also want approval of a new Spider-Man costume. Hopefully they don't deter too much from the original. I doubt they will. Although, since it's also the Civil War storyline, they'll have to do Iron Spider, but I doubt it, since they're saying they're going to bring this character in. It's just a little weird. How long is he in the movie? Is it a cameo? Blah, blah, blah. The interesting thing is, can we use Cap to set up the Sinister Six? I don't understand. Honestly, that's a little weird for me. It also says, can Drew work with the Russo brothers? Again, interesting, since Drew Goddard was the original showrunner for the Daredevil series. before he had to leave for Sinister Six, which right now is all currently in limbo because of the critical failure of Amazing Spider-Man 2. So that's a little weird, but the whole Cap set to set up Sinister Six, I don't understand. Like, I don't know how that's gonna work since Cap would never really agree upon something like that. Now, in the Civil War storyline, he did allow villains into the group, but at arm's length, because the villain said, look, if the heroes get registered, we're gonna get registered. We don't want that, so we're gonna team up with you. So because I'm just basically the enemy of my enemy is my friend thing. And unfortunately, those villains also got their brains blown out by the Punisher, which prompted with a pretty sweet ass kicking by Cap. Basically, and Pascal discussed like both merchandising rights and taking a cut of the box office for the third Captain America movie. And I'm quoting this here, as for a solo Spider-Man outing following this appearance, Sony wanted to retain creative control over everything from the casting to script and director, something which may have put Marvel off. Basically saying that this very thing is what probably made the original negotiations fall through, because Marvel is very much full of creative control. Since Marvel is owned by Disney, Marvel still has like the TV rights to Spider-Man, and they definitely feel like it seemed right here in this. Because of that, what it seems is that Marvel is trying to get the rights back to them because of this, and honestly, I don't blame them at this point. Honestly, after Amazing Spider-Man 2, I've actually kind of lost a little faith in them, because not because after seeing the movie I was like, okay, it's like, oh god, piece of shit, because I mean, you see my score originally, I liked it, and I still like it to a degree at this point, but after that, and then deciding to push it back. But then the problem I had with it though was that they started announcing all these other spin-offs, which really wasn't a good idea, because it was very evident that Sony didn't know what to do after this critical failure. Because Amazing Spider-Man 2 did okay in the box office, but not as well as the last one, but did okay. But it's very evident that these two, that they just didn't know what to do. They were pushed in a corner. They thought they had a hit on their hands, and they were proven wrong, because they ended up getting lambasted for what they did with the movie. And honestly, I don't blame them. Andrew Garfield even went on and said, like, the studio interfered with this project. They wanted so much shit thrown into it, and I can see why he would say that. There was a lot of shit thrown into it. It was a clusterfuck. I've come to realize that now. It was a clusterfuck. Not as much as the third one, but there was just so much thrown in there just so they can build up their own shared universe, which is a big fat mistake for them, and I'll get into that later. But yeah, it's just not. At this point, there's no plans for, as far as we know, the Amazing Spider-Man franchise is dead at this point, until I get to the next story. So just give me a moment for that. I will be right back. Alright, I'm back. Alright. Alright, so Latino Review, who I take with a grain of salt, although not as much as Badass Digest as of late, actually uncovered some stuff about about Marvel's plans for a solo Spider-Man movie, which I think, as of right now, this is the most concrete evidence we have of Marvel getting the Spider-Man rights back to them from Sony. And I'm actually gonna read it through, so bear with me on this if this damn thing would quit lagging. Alright, so I'm going to quote this again. Just because I'm tired and I don't want to think. Basically, according to the report by Latino Review, which was later reiterated by Slash Films, Marvel was told about Sony's plan for a female Spider movie, which also included a potential spin-off of an Aunt May origin story, which Marvel severely disliked. Now, the Aunt May thing, I did hear about that, and I read about this potential plot, and I just kind of shook my head at this because I'm thinking there's no way this could be real. There's no way anyone. I mean, basically, who the hell would want to watch a stupid a movie about Aunt May, basically, and Sony, and I just wrote it off as not true, and Sony even said it was like, look, it's not true, but apparently Marvel read into it and realized, okay, this shit's gone out of hand. If there are rumors of an Aunt May movie, which Sony says isn't true, then you know there's a problem with how Sony is handling this property at the moment, which I can 100% agree on. I understand that full-heartedly. I get that. I mean, Fox did the same shit with, I should say, kind of did the same shit with the X-Men movies to a degree, and it didn't pan out for 2 fucking movies. With X-Men 3 and X-Men Origins Wolverine. Those were not very good movies. And you can watch if you want, you can look it up on my review on those. I'll put a link down below if I'm not lazy. Also, with that reason, if the collaborative Sony deal were to happen, Marvel is looking to have creative control over the character. Again, basically saying we're gonna take those rights. At least that's my interpretation of it. Marvel is planning on taking the gonna try and take the license back. And honestly, good, fine. Beforehand, I really didn't want Marvel to take it back. Sony, because Sony definitely did a good job with Amazing Spider-Man, but after Amazing Spider-Man 2 and all this whole wanting to build a shared universe around one character, one fucking character, wasn't gonna fucking work. It just made me realize, okay, they don't care about this property, they don't give a shit about anything else, they just want the money, so they're gonna try and build a very flimsy shared universe around one character, which doesn't fucking work. You can't do that. And I'll get into the whole shared universe in another video. I'll probably do something like that. Basically, and it says here, the creative control entails wiping the slate clean with Sony's Amazing Spider-Man universe. Any actors currently under contract with Sony's Spider-Man films will not be picked up to keep it far away from those Sony movies as possible, which likely may include not bringing back Andrew Garfield, which goes back to the earlier report. Yeah, I mean, you know what? Good. Again, I like the first movie. I still like the second one. I really was looking forward to seeing what the third one could entail. But at this point, there is no hope for this franchise under Sony. There's just no hope for this franchise under Sony's rule. There's none. They just want spin-offs. They want money. That's all they want at this point with this property. They believe they could get I mean, they're basically making the same mistakes they did with the Spider-Man 3. They're not learning from their mistakes. It's very evident with that, and it's one of those things I cannot stand about studios. It's one of those things that makes me fear of one day working for Hollywood, is that I'm going to have to be a yes man, and I do not want to be a yes man. I don't want to be that kind of person. I want to be able to do a licensed property like Spider-Man, like Iron Man, like Batman or whatever, and be able to do it my way, because I know how I want to be able to make this film, and but I also know that's not realistic. But I also don't want a studio to interfere with how I want to bring this movie onto screen. Especially if you're a lesser known director, and that's the biggest problem, is Mark Webb only did one movie before Amazing Spider-Man, and he was given creative control. He was obviously given creative control over the first one. He did everything he wanted to with that. But with the second one, it's very evident that studio interfered because they wanted spin-offs. They thought of spin-offs only. And think about this, the movie that was on hand, they thought of let's make a spin-off movie. That's it. Anyway, one of the big changes Marvel has planned for their own solo Spider-Man film will be to take the focus away from the romance and drama, which was very prominent on Mark Webb's installment. Basically saying no dating Peter Parker, or I should say, well, maybe not no dating Peter Parker, but definitely one of the things about The Amazing Spider-Man was the biggest focus, which was indeed Peter's relationship with Gwen Stacy, which I thought was the strongest element of those films. If anything, the best elements of those films. I thought it was fantastic. Andrew Garfield and Emma Stone had fantastic chemistry with one another, and I believe these two were in love, which surprisingly they're currently dating, I think. Or still currently dating. God damn it, Andrew Garfield. But they're saying that, like, there will be no date or no, the romance will not be the main focus, which again is perfectly fine. It also says Marvel understands that the romance has been played out over 5 installments already, which is very true. Even the Sam Raimi movies focused a lot on his romance, but not as much as the Mark Webb movies did. Instead, the romance will only be a part of the whole film's side story. And that's fine, but the question is, what are they going to go with? They can't go with Gwen Stacy anymore, because we already have that story. We don't want to repeat it. So they'll probably go with Mary Jane again, and hopefully they'll cast someone a little better than Kirsten Dunst. And you know what? Go with Shailene Woodley. She's not bad looking, and she's a very talented actress. Definitely hire her again if you want, or go with someone older. I'll probably do a little casting thing for Spider-Man. You know, who knows? Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and try and wrap this up. Marvel's main plan is to bring the focus back as Spider-Man the superhero, which you know what is fine. That's basically that's a big kind of theme with Marvel, with the Marvel movies, is they are superhero movies. They focus on the superhero persona. I mean, now granted, there have been movies where it focuses on the alter ego than the superhero, but you still know that you still feel like they're still in their superhero persona more than their alter ego, which is again something you don't I'm gonna say you don't really see a whole lot in superhero films in the past, because I mean, yeah, they're like, oh yeah, I'm a superhero, but right now I'm just my alter ego and my secret identity at the moment. You don't. God, I can't think now. Sorry. So I'm just gonna go ahead and just on that and just go back to this. Basically bringing the character back to his true roots, a teenager fighting to balance his dual life as a superhero. Issues that were brought to life well in the original 2004 Spider-Man 2 film. There is truth to that. That, honestly, to me, that was the best. As much as I consider Andrew Garfield to be the better, the definitive Spider-Man, the definitive Peter Parker, I thought Sam Raimi portrayed the dual identity very well with Peter Parker and Spider-Man in Spider-Man 2. I thought it was very well done, which is why I consider it the best of the entire Spider-Man film series, including the reboot. I do consider that I do consider it the best because of that. I thought it was just fantastically well done. So I'm glad they're bringing that back. Marvel also believes Spider-Man's origin is well-trodden territory. Good, because honestly, we've seen it so many goddamn times. We don't need to see it again. We know the story. It's the same thing with like reintroducing Batman's origin in the new World's Finest movie, unless it's a flashback. And you know, if it's a flashback, fine by me, whatever. Any new Spider-Man movie in this new deal would begin with Peter Parker already leading a dual life as Spider-Man. Alright, that's fine. But the biggest question with that, oh wait, I'm sorry. Let me finish reading this because I was about to say something without... Okay. The report ends by saying Spider-Man making his debut in Captain America Civil War would have served, keyword have, served as the character's introduction to the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Basically saying Spider-Man would have been in Civil War, introducing that character, probably giving him an origin or something, and then a new Spider-Man film would have had him already in that role, already taken up that role. So more than likely Spider-Man will not be in Civil War. Honestly, you know what, hopefully he's not. I feel like it's a little too soon for a new Spider-Man. I know he's a popular character. He's their flagship character. He's Marvel's flagship character right now currently, along with like Wolverine and Iron Man, Captain America. Those are their flagship characters at this very moment. And I feel like I feel like right now they just need to do the same thing as with some of the other characters that they got back the rights from, including Ghost Rider, which was a Sony movie at the time, but again, they didn't really know what to do with Ghost Rider. Ghost Rider had a lot of potential to be something really good, really different, and they just didn't do it right. They didn't do it properly. They just like, here, whatever. Sony doesn't know when to like tell a director, okay, pull it back, but we're still going to give you control. Instead, they're like, if it's a property they have no faith in, they were like, okay, do whatever. But when it's a big hit, they go, okay, we're going to pull your creative control back and tell you what we want in it, without any sort freedom for you. Is basically what happens. That's the biggest problem I have. I have no problem with producers telling me, hey, look, calm it down. We do have money. We need you to, we're giving you, but we need you to keep it within a reasonable amount. That's fine. And so I will understand when a producer needs to say, look, pull it back a bit. But when it is a big hit, when it is a massive hit, they don't bother to give them any freedom. They don't balance it out. They just go, we're taking over. They basically are saying, we're going to be directors, that without actually directing. We're just going to tell you this is what we want, and you have to say yes to everything we say. And I feel like that was the biggest problem. And that's a problem I would have too, because I am not a producer. I am a filmmaker. I am a director. Or at least that's who I want. Sorry, that's who I want to be. But I feel like I wouldn't be able to, because one, I would be a no name at the time, and two, producers would have no faith in my directive freedom, even though they hired me to do this sort of thing. Which is why I consider Marvel to be a better studio than really a lot of them, because not counting Iron Man 2, which I'll get into one day later down the road, I feel like Marvel knows when to say enough and when to hold it back, hold it back from taking creative control over a film and letting the director have the freedom to do what they want. Which I think they know how to balance it out at this point. They definitely know how to balance it out, because they did it. Because it's proven very well, very effective. It's like there is a good, minus Ant-Man, there is a good balance between good relationship between studio and director, which I like. Ant-Man being the only difference, but I think that's just. I think that's because, and don't get me wrong, Edgar Wright's Ant-Man was the. Edgar Wright was the only reason why I was excited for Ant-Man now. But Edgar Wright wanted to do things his way without considering continuity and whatnot. And Marvel, it seemed like Marvel was kind of saying, no, we have already set some rules for this universe. You've got to be able to follow them. And he just walked off because he wasn't pleased with that and whatnot. But yeah, Spider-Man, sorry I went on long for this, but Spider-Man, it seems definitely, Amazing Spider-Man, it's dead. It's dead. There's no doubt about it. It's dead. Sooner or later, rights are going to go back to Marvel. Hopefully we won't see Spider-Man for another 10 years. I definitely don't want to see another Spider-Man for another 10 years at this point. I'm kind of worn out with Spider-Man. So yeah, one day, but who knows, one day we'll probably get one. Who knows, maybe one day I'll be Spider-Man. That'd be cool. But yeah, I am done. I will be back with later today with my review for The Hobbit, which I probably won't post until a couple days later, but I will have that up. Until then, I will see you guys later. You all have yourselves a wonderful Saturday morning. You all have a wonderful day. Bye.